morning, Marek. How are you doing? Hey, Kim. Good morning. Welcome. How are you this morning? How are you this morning? Are you doing okay? We're just waiting for Irina to come join us. Hey, Irina. Nice to see you. Come on in, everybody. I'm looking forward to have this discussion today with Irina from the Mice blog about our experiences at Tomorrowland. We were hanging out with lots of event profs from around the world, and it's been really educational. So I'm looking forward to discuss. Hey!
Hello, how are you?
Good morning, how are you?
Excellent.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
I
good to
missed
see you back.
you.
Huh?
I've missed you.
Yeah, I miss you too. It was very intense the weekend, so it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Kim, nice that you already had a great chat. Yeah, we are looking forward to discuss this. So Irina and I launched the Mice Double Shot just recently, which is a concept that allows us event props to gather and hang out at in a different way than before, not just educational sessions, but have a little fun in the meantime. Tomorrowland was a fine first episode of that. We spent the entire weekend together, checking out the concerts, the entire festival, the island experience, and we're here to discuss this with you today. And I hope some other people join who have actually attended Tomorrowland, who can give some input, or who have relived it perhaps later on, because I know some people were busy over the weekend. Hi, Fabian. Welcome. So I think we're good to go. What do you think, Irina?
Yeah,
Should
definitely. We are ready to go.
Okay, so basically what we try to do today is go through the different topics, like from pre-event activation and registration all the way to the post-event experience.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would like to suggest is that we talk about what happened before the actual event started. For me personally, I was already impressed with the registration process, and also I particularly enjoyed, after already having bought my ticket, to check out the test video. I loved the test video. It was one of the best things for me in the early stages to get even more excited about the event. There was a wide variety of tickets on offer: day tickets, weekend tickets, friends tickets, experiences that you could have at home, home party packages, and every ticket included one or several relive tickets to actually check out the festival again after the live days. How did you feel about the first phase, Irina?
Yeah, so the registration was very simple. I think they just asked for the name, email, and the country, right? There was no like, what's your function, or what's your expectations, or do you have a question? Anything. It's just straightforward. You sign up, and you get a confirmation, and with the confirmation you get a graphic that you can post on your Instagram stories with your name and with your country. And I loved it so much because it's very timely, it's very relevant for the audience who is so social media savvy and wants to share the experience with their friends on social media. And we definitely made use of this graphic, so we shared it. Yeah. Hi,
Very
Natasha.
much.
Yeah.
Hey, Natasha. Yeah, I loved it also, that the fact that you could share, that you could actually save the Instagram story version,
Yeah.
and that the ticket was personalized. Wonderful
Yeah.
first connection.
Yeah. So
And
it's
then
basically
share on Twitter.
name and country. Yeah. So it was very
Yeah,
nice.
cool. Hi,
Yeah.
Sabrina. Nice of you to join. So
Yeah.
yeah, does anybody else have any first comments about the pre-event phase, the registration? What did you like about it? Do you feel you were engaged enough, Irina, leading up to the event? Like, did it build excitement for you?
It's a good question. I don't know, was there a hashtag?
Well, that's one of the things that I actually felt were not that clear. You had,
Yeah.
of course, the Tomorrowland hashtag and Tomorrowland 2020 and then hashtag around the world, but it wasn't announced anywhere. I just
Yeah.
picked it up from seeing what was
Yeah.
happening. And one of my major disappointments, but we'll get to that later, is actually the social feed because
Yeah.
it could have been like a little bit more interactive.
Yeah.
But in terms of pre-event, I mean, you got some teaser videos, and again, the test video was really exciting to watch, and made me feel like I couldn't wait anymore. I also loved the countdown function before
Yeah.
the event on the page. It's quite normal now to see these countdowns everywhere, but I don't know, it just made me feel
Yeah.
really, really excited. It
Yeah.
looks good. The layout was nice, you know, the branding, the colors. I like that aspect of it, and just the countdown from days before got me really into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. In terms of engagement, actually, I felt more engaged with our group because we had our group. So me, you, Sabrina, Natasha, Faye, who was else?
Megan.
Catherine. So we were about 7 people, Robert, and the engagement among us was very big, and that was the hype for me. I would say that I was engaged with the community more than I was engaged with the event.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, of course, for me as well, that was a very important factor. And we discussed it already a little bit together in our group that there's so many ways to increase the engagement with having these types of side events,
Yeah.
and build communities around it, you know, get together to discuss, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a discussion like we're having. For the general
Yeah.
public, it could
Yeah.
just be communities hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you weren't bombarded by pre-event emails, which most events do, says Sabrina. Yeah, that is actually really true. It was just around the right amount, right? It
Yeah.
built a little bit of excitement, but it wasn't too much. I agree
Yeah,
with that.
exactly.
Natasha agrees
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
I love it because I think today we're so much on social media, we share information among us, and emails are just not as strong as they used to be as a communication tool. So yeah, it's good, not so many emails.
Actually, today I just started sifting through my email filters again because during these last couple of months, I've
Yeah.
accepted lots of additional newsletters and subscriptions, and now it's just too much. I'm flooded every day
Yeah.
with all kinds of things. Yeah,
Very,
so
very
good, very
true.
good point. Let's continue. So then the actual day itself on the first live day, how do you feel about logging into the platform? Did that go smoothly for you? Were there any specific expectations, worries? I mean, for me, I was scared that so many people logging in at the same time would never work out. Of course, it was mostly your own internet connection that had to be decent enough.
Yeah.
For me, when I logged in, I didn't immediately get the island experience, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
just got the main menu, the main overview, and the
Yeah.
island only loaded later.
Yeah.
After that, I don't know if you've experienced the same. How did you feel about it?
So I logged like around 3 hours after the event actually started. So maybe in the beginning there was some more traffic, and then it was spread out. So I logged in around 8. The event started at what, at 5 or 4?
Sure.
4. So yeah, so 4 hours after the event I logged in, and I had like to go again through a very quick registration just to say my country and my name and my username that I want to use. And actually, so this username would be then if you want to be on the chat function, right? So I just gave my username, country, and then I was in. Yeah, I think it was pretty straightforward. I was there, and then there was also our discussion on the Slack group. So everyone was saying like, go to this stage, go to this stage, and actually that was quite supportive. So again, I relied on the community more than I relied on the event because I came a little bit later to the party, and everyone was already in, so it was quite helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely added to the experience. We were
Yeah,
encouraging each other to check
yeah,
out things and laughing about things. Something comes to mind,
yeah,
the moose in the room, the moose bar
yeah,
came up at one of the first hilarious moments. Yeah, but for me, I consciously didn't use a username just to see what happens. And actually,
okay,
it just stated my email. Also in the chat
okay,
box later on, it was just written Heidi at themyschool.com,
okay,
and that's fine. Also, it didn't reduce any of the services for me.
yeah,
What I felt was that even though we all gave our flags, I was kind of,
yeah,
it built a certain expectation that
yeah,
there would be a kind of country community or hints to your country. I know
yeah,
flags are visible in the audience,
yeah,
but there wasn't necessarily anything special
yeah.
done with that on the
That's true.
platform.
That's true.
I was kind of hoping that there would be something. Okay, we are
Yeah,
nitpicking, right? But
yeah,
still, for them, it's obviously important to see all the countries
yeah,
and where the participants and the people who buy their tickets come from. But it would have been nice to have some kind of a hint
yeah,
inside the
yeah,
platform.
yeah. Definitely for them, it's a good analytical, like it's good data, but it wasn't used as I would expect as well. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, how do we feel about the actual island experience?
yeah. Yeah, so it was definitely very smooth. It was kind of like you are like in a gamification scenario. So you move the mouse, you can hop from island to island. You can click and you are there, and you have a menu, and it was smooth. It was really good.
I was extremely impressed by the design.
Yeah,
Really, it
yeah,
blew my mind. It was, of course, we talked about it as well. It's inspired by the gaming industry,
yeah,
but it looks so great. Like at some point, we discussed that there was a similar platform created by IMAX, for example,
yeah,
Planet IMAX, to network
yeah,
with our fellow event profs, which was also done really, really well.
yeah,
This is, of course, a whole type of a whole different type of event and a different
yeah,
type of experience, but the level of detail
yeah,
was just so impressive.
yeah,
Even traveling around the island, the way it looks, the different little items like the beacons that represented like
yeah,
the inspiration session and different locations, different symbols. It took a little bit of time to understand the
yeah,
concepts behind it, actually,
yeah,
but I was really impressed by it. Like someone mentioned in the group at some point, there were lanterns going up in the sky. Like you had these changes from daytime to nighttime. The
yeah,
landscape changes. You had sunset. You had northern lights. It was absolutely beautiful. And
yeah,
these lanterns, actually, I figured out, connected to the actual wishes that people wrote on People of Tomorrow. It's called, this wall where you could share a message of love. So there were lots
yeah,
of people writing something nice from all around the world. And every time there was a new message, there would be like a lantern on the island platform, which is
yeah,
amazing. And
yeah,
the same with the emojis in the live sessions, the hearts and the butterflies. The butterflies actually flew onto the island map, which is just
yeah.
incredible. It's such small
Yeah.
details, but
Yeah,
it
and there
gives.
was also like some sound of some insects, right? Have you
Yes, yes.
noticed? So it's
Mhm.
like you are actually in the field of the actual festival. Like in the beginning, I didn't even know where it's coming from. I saw it's like my window, which is open, but then like it took me some time to figure out that it's actually coming from there. So it was very, very like
Yeah.
fine-tuned.
Definitely. And then the design of the actual stages. Oh my
Yeah,
God. Like
yeah,
Sabrina shared on her story a little bit more technical details about it. It's absolutely impressive how they've managed to create that.
yeah,
Um, Blending human and digital elements was very well done. Yes, Sabrina, I completely agree with you. It connected you and it gave you a sense of belonging. You know, it
yeah,
made you feel certain things. Like that's what an event is supposed to do. It's
yeah,
supposed to, yeah, create emotions, you know, in the
yeah,
experience, and they managed to do that very, very well.
yeah,
Natasha says the attention to detail was incredible. Again, I really, really agree. Kim, how the little details have the biggest impact. That is absolutely true. So there were so many little cute hints and details that gave it that extra aspect. And the stages themselves, the lighting was not just your regular 3D lighting. It was built up. It was timed according to the music. The audience was moving according to the music. I mean, yes, very, very impressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody agrees.
So they said in the article, they said that they filmed it from 4 different studios in Sydney, in São Paulo, in Los Angeles, and in Boom. And it's incredible. And if I understood correctly, in the article, they said that they filmed it in the green screen studio, but the producers for each DJ, they actually use they directed the lighting differently. So it's not that like you are in Los Angeles, you have this like same lighting. No, it's like each DJ actually got his own kind of set, and it was all very well thought through. So yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I was very curious about the second day. If there would be any differences, and they managed to do that. Even though you go to the same stages and you get used to all of these different stages, you've already checked them out a couple of times, and the next day you go back and you still get completely different visuals that are very, very engaging. And I love how it was really tailored to each set. Yes. Which brings us to the lineup. What did you think of the lineup? If you are music interested, like, did you feel it was at all exciting?
So so there were definitely a couple of names that I know, but I'm not like a hardcore music fan, so it didn't impact me as I would think like a Gary V speaking there, you know, there, but like generally. So I didn't have like this kind of emotion of, yes, that's my favorite, because I'm not just a music fan, but it was definitely impressive to see something different. But we can also like talk later about the lineup of the inspiration session, which for me was the highlight a bit more, but maybe you will answer this question.
Well, I do love some music, but I mean, it was quite it was what I expected from Tomorrowland to begin with. Like the major acts on the main stage, like Alan Walker, Armin van Buuren, David Guetta, who else was there? Don Diablo. There was Martin Garrix. I loved the final set. I was absolutely blown away. The last set of the second day on the main stage was perfect. Lost Frequencies, lots of big names that you would expect to be there were there. So it's not like the digital version had lower value in terms of the artists, which is great. But then there were quite a few surprising elements, like Katy Perry. Like, what was she doing there? That was my my initial impression. But then again, I get that they were trying to target a wider audience than they usually have, and they wanted to have a little bit additional mainstream acts to encourage those people to join. So I actually asked myself the question, how many people would have joined just to see Katy Perry, or who got convinced?
I noticed that she actually was like the most talked about on social media, actually, Katy Perry. She was really like, if you put a hashtag on Twitter, you see only Katy Perry. So yeah, there is definitely this element of you need variety.
And it was a very, very short performance, but it managed to create extra engagement, definitely. Sabrina says, I think it's great to have seen that within EDM there was a lot of variety. Her tops were Martin Garrix and Lost Frequencies. I'm completely with you. Those were absolutely amazing performances, and not sure about Katy Perry. Yeah, me neither. And then we had this discussion about the Moose Bar, which is basically an after-ski style lodge with your typical after-ski folk music, and well, let's not put it in a bad way, but completely different than the other main acts and the other stages. And I understand, I mean, Tomorrowland always does that. They have these different types of bars and lounges around, and you can just hang out, and there's a whole community enjoying just that. But there were quite a lot of reactions in our group that it was ridiculous and it didn't need to be there. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was funny, you know, like we all went there actually together, I think, that moment, and we just laughed about it, and it was like, it was fun. I mean, I wouldn't stay there for hours, but it was kind of like we had the Schlager, and Elena Fischer, I think, was playing, and yeah, it's just, you know, it's just kind of something funny, something off topic, just to bring you some giggles. Don't take it seriously, you know, like.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I wouldn't necessarily cut it out. It was just fun. It
Yeah,
was a moment
it's
of
kind of this after party bar, and potentially, like, if you are, like, say, with your friends watching it together in some barbecue party, and you're like super drunk, maybe you'll go there.
and stay there for the remaining hours of your evening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And Kim is just like, you
probably.
have to be highly intoxicated.
Far worse things have happened at Tomorrowland, says Sabrina. Sure.
Yeah.
You need to be highly intoxicated to survive that, says Kim. Yeah, also, I agree. Um,
Yeah, no, but that's
okay.
the thing, you know, that's quite interesting because, you know, when you watch a live event, like an online event, you don't drink as much as you would at the live event. And the question is, like, how much did they expect people to be drunk actually to watch this? So it's also kind of a balance to understand what's in digital and what's in live. So yeah,
I
there's some
think you
question marks there.
underestimate how people get drunk. Like, I think there's a lot of groups of friends gathering, even in smaller groups, that would definitely have had a good couple of drinks. But yeah, probably at the festival you get swiped into the atmosphere a little bit more, and you get
Yeah,
yeah, you drink more in the end. Sure. So this is already quite a nice example of the variety of content
yeah,
within the music. But then there was so much more to the festival than just the musical performance.
yeah.
And one of the main things was, of course, the inspiration sessions. And I know you are a very big fan of them. I also love them, but you were super excited
Yeah.
about it. So tell us a little bit more about what that was.
Yeah, so inspiration sessions, they were sessions by creatives from different industry, like chefs, athletes, DJs, models, um, entrepreneurs, all creative industries, and they spoke about their career and their challenges and how to succeed and how to go through unprecedented times like we going now, and how to stand out and how to keep going. And I watched only four, but I plan to watch the rest. But they were very, very inspiring. They were very kind of very big people. Some names I never heard before, but I was like, it was great to get to know these people and their businesses. And one, for example, actually one person I really enjoyed the session was about social enterprise, how it's called, I don't remember the name, but it's about bringing mobile schools
Arnu Raskin, yes.
yeah, to disadvantaged communities, to help kids to learn and develop like survival skills and succeed in life. And the way that it works, that it's a social enterprise, he recognized the most performing kids within their communities, the ones that kind of learn on the street and have very strong survival skills. For example, he talked about one kid that he could speak 12 languages and just learning them on the street. And then he said, okay, we want to teach these kids also how to be business people, and why should we only rely on charities? So that's not what we actually want to teach the kids. So he developed a business model that he sends these kids that learn by themselves these survival skills and commercial skills as well, send them to actually the corporations and teach the corporates, the CEOs, the executives these skills. So actually I wrote down I took some notes. So basically he talked about four. So one is the opportunity focus, is recognizing the opportunity, the agility and resilience, the proactive and creative approach, and cooperative competition. So yeah, these are the skills that you will succeed in life, no matter which background. And it was super inspiring. I loved this session so much, and I hope to finish watching them with my relief ticket. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. It gave a whole additional dimension to the festival. And as Sabrina also is saying, it's not the people you would normally expect or the usual suspects, the typical speakers that you would have at virtual events, but there were really a good variety of people from different backgrounds. I also watched several of them, and I was particularly impressed by, I highlighted 3 of them on my Instagram, on my social media, and that was Adrien Moisson, who founded Wild Immersion, which I thought was so impressive. The idea of gamifying the wildlife preservation. Basically what they did is they built an organization where people can fund the organization for the preservation of wildlife, and in the same time they build their own reserve in like a virtual reality world. So it's kind of set up like a Monopoly game. You can add animals, you can add acres of land to your reserve, and it becomes a whole experience. It becomes exciting, and what these sessions do is help you make an impact. And I believe the festival is in itself is making a big impact by doing all of these things, because if you're a music festival, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily think of doing that. And I feel that the team at Tomorrowland are very innovative in including all of those aspects. Also, the organizations that they support that are partnering with the festival, but then also all these talks that really inspire you on so many different levels. And I guess there's a wide audience with so many different people, but I feel that there are enough topics to speak to everyone. Like for me, I'm particularly interested in sustainability. I also heard the talks with Ida Engberg, the Swedish DJ. I'm interested in gastronomy. There was Sebastian Rüssler, his name is, the founder of Chef's Talk, talking about the education of the younger generation in terms of food. So there was so much exciting stuff there for everybody. I really enjoyed that, and I'm also planning to continue watching them. I love that we have this relief ticket, that you can actually still use it. I was a little bit uncertain about the duration, because you know, when you buy a weekend ticket you get 1 relief ticket, and I was thinking, okay, there wasn't really that much information about it beforehand, so I didn't know if it was just for 1 log on, but now it seems like it's for the entire 2 weeks, so you can actually keep using it. So you can take your time and browse through all of those sessions and listen to whatever you are interested in. So that was definitely really well done.
I also was super impressed by the sessions. They're only 15 minutes long, and there are a couple like of set questions. They ask everyone the same questions, but then they kind of customize them to the speakers and their field, and it was super interesting.
So your favorite was the one with the mobile school, right? For the rest of us, Sabrina, Natasha, who else is here? Do you have any favorite inspiration sessions that you really felt were exciting to listen to? I also listened to the one about the ocean cleanup project. It's very interesting. Anybody want to share anything more? will.i.am also I found very engaging. It was talking about how music contributes so much to spreading a positive message. Natasha says, I love that the sessions are international. I love the guy from Gymshark. Yes, he's local to you. Yes, in the UK. So that also, this one I don't think I had a chance to watch it, but I will definitely check it out. Interesting.
Also another session that I loved this was with the founder of Cirque du Soleil, and he said that here, like, his closing remarks were just like, remain a child in your mind, you know, because children are a bit naive, they are creative, and when you grow up you become like more restricted and what you can do, what you can't do. But if you keep this child mentality, you will always keep innovating and being creative. So it was quite...
That's beautiful. I never want to grow up. Natasha also loved Bethany Hamilton. I think you also saw that one.
Yes, it was very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
very
Yeah, her
inspiring.
story is quite
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah,
Okay, let's move on to engagement.
yeah.
How do we feel we were engaged on the platform during the festival? Like there were several things available on the platform, like games. There was this library where you could join in on a competition and win something. There was the group chat. There was the social feed. What did you particularly like about these extra engagement
Yeah, so
items?
for me, it was like the way that I joined this festival, I joined it with the community, like with our community of event professionals. And this was my focus. This was not my focus to go and engage with the event in the games, in the chat, or in the social feed. As much as I love social media, I did not seek to engage in the social feed of the event. I wanted to engage on social media with you. Um, so, and like and eventually there was not like enough time for me personally, because I had this couple of hours that I went online, and then we had our Zooms, and then that's all. I I didn't like particularly kind of dedicated like the whole weekend, the 48 hours to this. It was about maybe 4 or 5 hours like during the weekend. So for me, bottom line, engagement with the community, like with my community that I go to the festival, and that would be the same as we went there like together physically to the event, and you stay with your with your group, and yeah, and you just stick together. So that kind of was my like, if it was like a corporate event, I would actually kind of go and try to network, to grow my network on LinkedIn or etc., like to promote my business. But here I didn't have any commercial interest. It was just really hanging out
Mhm.
with my tribe
Yeah,
or with my
yeah,
group.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I agree with you, and I think that's the case for most people, even though you don't have to be in the event props community. I think people kind of found ways to connect and to hang out together, and
yeah,
it wasn't necessarily through the group chat. I mean, the group chat
yeah,
was just a very regular, basic chat function. I
yeah,
don't think there was that much engagement there. There
yeah,
were chats though on the after parties. There was an after party after the actual festival
yeah,
was finished every day, and there was lots of chat engagement, but also so fast with so many people from around the world throwing in something there that it wasn't anything constructive. It was just
yeah,
to be seen.
yeah,
And then the social feed, as I mentioned, I was a little bit disappointed by it because it was really, really slow. There
mm-hmm.
were so many hundreds of thousands of people sharing on social media, and it didn't really show up on the social feed on the platform itself. So it would have
Yeah,
been cool if that was a little bit more fast paced and you could actually see
yeah,
what's happening on all the social media everywhere. I think probably they didn't have staff specifically
yeah,
sitting on social media to monitor it
actually,
and
I think so too.
to upload it. We are used to that from business events as well. You need an extra person to do just that. I would have loved to see a little bit more interaction there.
Yeah, yeah,
Sabrina says, I enjoyed the variety of engagement offerings from recipes to games to group chat. Definitely the variety was there. The recipes as well, the cocktail recipes are really good. And then there was this culinary atelier that you could join additionally as an add-on to the event. But they also had recipes that were available for everybody. And if you wanted to, you could actually make an actual feast at home,
yeah.
prepare food,
But
prepare cocktails.
but this is like a good point, because if you it was a weekend, so the shops will be then closed at 5, like at 5 o'clock the platform opens, you can see the recipes. Then when are you going to the supermarket? I think if they wanted like people to actually engage and cook the recipes, it should have been communicated a bit
Beforehand.
earlier, and then we could have like say, okay, now we each of us cooks this one recipe, and then we kind of share it on social media. But it was not the case. So I knew, because I don't have time to look at the recipes or cook them or whatever, I'm not even going to this section, so I didn't check it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I agree. Maybe beforehand would have been a bit nicer, but I love the fact that it was there. I mean,
Yeah.
we are, of course, I have to remind everyone that we're being very, very critical. And
Yeah,
this
yeah. We are very
festival,
critical, but the overall festival was good. So I just
the
thought,
festival has been put together in 3 months, which is
yeah, yeah,
absolute insanity, with about 280 people working on it. And everything they've managed to realize in such a
yeah,
short period of time is absolutely incredible. Kim says it's interesting to hear that you still had this group feeling. Well, we've become a really nice, tight-knit group of
yeah,
event profs after the digital festival, and several of us are still very connected and engaging
yeah,
with each other on different topics and
yeah.
different things
And
that
we
we
want
do,
to attend
all of
another
us.
festival together or another event. So
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah,
So we're just supportive, and it's just fun to hang out. I also really enjoyed the Zoom chats we had and just experiencing the platform together. You mentioned that you didn't really go into those games, etc. In the beginning. The first Zoom we had with some of us, we actually were exploring this library and how it works.
okay,
So you can navigate around and a library and find smoke in books, and at the smoke, if you clicked on that book, there would come up a question, and
okay,
there were questions about the history of Tomorrowland, and you could win something if you had 10 questions. If you answered 10 questions correctly. Then most of us gave up after the first wrong answer. We're like, okay, not gonna happen. Bye.
yeah, yeah,
Sabrina said it would have been cool to see a live tweet feed, for example, of people's experiences and reactions. Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
More engagements in terms of the social feed.
yeah,
We agree on that. Mhm. Okay, so generally speaking, in terms of variety, wonderful, right?
yeah,
Wonderful job. Lots of things to discover besides the music, and the music, of course, is already the huge element.
yeah,
Obviously, it's a music festival, so that's where you come, and all of the other things are nice additional surprises to make the
yeah,
experience even better
yeah,
for everybody. We talked a little bit about sponsor implementation during our Zooms and on Slack.
yeah,
It was interesting to see how they brought forward sponsors and specific brands on the platform. We know that with music festivals, mostly the sponsors are drinks, are, beverage companies, and a festival gets a large part of their revenue from FMB, which you can obviously not do during a digital version. So we
yeah,
saw some brands coming up. I remember you said you saw Bex. I also
yeah,
saw Bex. There was Red Bull, Pepsi,
yeah.
different brands coming up. They showed up in the social feed.
Hmm.
They were
The
sometimes
cocktails were sponsored, I think, as well.
yes,
Yeah,
by different alcohol providers. And also there were specifically Robert, who joined us on Slack a lot during the festival, mentioned there were some surprise elements, like surprise content, sometimes during stage performances, where you could go in and check an additional engagement by one of the brands. I personally didn't see any of
okay,
those. They came and went, and I would guess they're also tailored to different countries.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I didn't get to experience that, but that's what I saw in terms of sponsor implementation. Do you
hmm.
feel they did a good job? Did you particularly get any interest in one of the brands? Did you get surprised that some of the brands were featured? What is your experience?
No, not particularly. I think the only thing that the brands got is visibility, because they were like on the right hand side of the stage. What I did notice actually, that none of the sponsors were on the main stage. It was kind of only the secondary stages. There were two main stages, right? The main stage and the second one. What was the name of it? Like the first two.
The core.
Yeah. So these were unsponsored, I noticed, at least from what I saw. But all the secondary stages, they were sponsored. So yeah, it's interesting. It's maybe what's the deal with it, but yeah.
Do you
I
think? it had any effect on participants? Like, was it
On the
really engaging
participants,
enough?
no, on the participants, no, but I think maybe on the brand, because I spend most of my time in these first two stages. So I think the sponsors could have got like a higher visibility and exposure, being on the main stage. I think like the sponsorship activation was just for the visibility. There was no like a hashtag engagement or like make your selfie with Corona or with Bex or whatever. Yeah, so or like have a chance to win if you make the most beautiful cocktail. There was no like no something like this. So it was only for the visibility. It wasn't for the like for the engagement. So that's kind of
You
like
are saying that you would add a lot of cool stuff, right?
yeah, which is maybe critical. I mean, but it's yeah, that's kind of my first thought then when I saw the sponsor.
I saw one game by Red Bull, which was basically a game where you had to crowd surf, like a little game where you go with the mouse over the
Yeah,
people and you get carried. I missed crowd surfing in the audience. The audience was a little bit too stiff,
yeah,
in my opinion. Natasha said, I thought the sponsor integration was really good. Yes, I agree to a certain point as well. We could do so much more. There could be done so much more, but definitely, yeah, they managed to
yeah.
create some visibility. I specifically found several sponsors by checking out the social feeds. So I saw BMW well out there and brands that
Really,
I wouldn't
BMW
have
were a
expected.
sponsor.
Hmm.
Really,
Yeah.
I didn't see any mention of them on the island.
Yeah, well, me neither.
Interesting.
The only place I saw them was on the social feed, in an Instagram post.
Okay.
So yeah, Sabrina says, I know this was probably a silly assumption, but I did think I was joining Tomorrowland and the acts were going to be real time, and for all purposes, this could have been the case. Yes, but imagine the difficulty level. I mean, if you have so many artists, I think there were 60 artists right now. I think in the live festival they had up to 400 artists, so it was already quite reduced. But still, if you have to do live sessions all around the world, it can be done, obviously, but it requires a huge planning, and you would also need to block those artists on on those specific days and times. And we don't really know how they were remunerated, if it was yeah, if they got a good salary on a good income for their performances, or it was kind of a collaboration, a deal in connection with their bookings for the live version. We don't really know what happened there, but definitely would be super cool. It was if it was in real time. Not sure though if we would have experienced it differently, because it really looked like it was live, like the way it was set up, the timings, the schedule. You had this travel moment in between each set where you would be redirected to the next performer. And yeah, I don't know if it would have added so much, but the idea of it is really exciting to me. It was all pre-recorded, Sabrina says. Yes, exactly. And actually, I'm also quite impressed by how they or the DJs managed to create the vibe, during their sets. I was
Yes,
thinking,
we're
okay,
like all in into their
yeah, they
playing.
really were into it, and I was imagining like at least a few people in their studio creating some kind of excitement for them to do that. It's not easy, especially if you're not used to it, right? Like, how do you build excitement and imagine you have a huge crowd in front of you when there's actually nobody there? So that's also interesting to think about. Yeah. Sponsors, yeah, we've discussed that. So
So
now,
Natasha, she just added that I guess the artists may have conflicting sponsors, which can be the case really, because the main stage had very, very big names. And sometimes you can't have a sponsor if you want the names, Natasha also writes. So yeah, interesting. Probably.
that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
personal sponsorships and contracts. Yeah, really great. Yeah.
Yeah, so they must have like probably then different sponsors that they by their contracts, I guess they can't have
Yeah,
other
true.
sponsors on their name. Yeah.
Then another thing we touched on was the post-event experience and this whole relief ticket service, how
Yeah.
we feel about that. Like I
Yeah.
mentioned briefly that I didn't get a lot of information from it beforehand, or at least I didn't find it, or I didn't maybe look for it in the right places, but I was a little bit confused about how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And then they didn't announce it until after the festival. Then you get like a follow-up email and it said, okay, it will go live on Wednesday. And then there was a countdown again, which is
Yeah.
great, but we didn't really know beforehand if it would be accessible immediately
Yeah.
after, for how long, if it would include the inspiration sessions or
Yeah.
be just the music. So there were a few question marks there.
Mhm.
How did you feel about this and about generally the follow-up, like the emails afterwards, or
Yeah.
anything that you noticed that happened after they closed the platform?
So I think there were only two emails, right? One is thank you for making it happen, and one join the relief session. So these are the two emails. I love it because I don't like email communication. Um, so yeah, it's very simple, straight to the point. That they have the countdown now. The relief sessions are open. We can watch them. I understand it's available until the 14th of August, on demand. And yeah, so I am planning to rewatch the inspiration sessions. Maybe it's also good to mention that all the music acts are now free on YouTube, right? So that's from my side, the relief ticket would be good to rewatch the inspiration sessions. For the
But
music,
you don't get exactly the same experience on
yeah.
YouTube, though. I
No,
mean,
you don't. No, you don't. But you know what? Like every time that there is something on demand, I do prefer watching things live because it's not the same experience. Because now we're doing this live. We have this live interaction here with Natasha and Sabrina and Kim. This afterwards, if someone watches it later, they can't ask the same questions. They can't kind of share this wow moment. So it's really not the same. So I am going to do a blog article about the inspiration sessions. My objective to go into the relief section is actually to complete my educational aspect and do the blog article. So this is my objective. I don't have any other reason to go to the relief section.
I will also
How about
definitely
you?
also continue checking out the inspiration sessions, but I will rewatch a couple of the performances or
Yeah,
some of them that I didn't catch or didn't
yeah,
necessarily see on the live days. But also on YouTube, you don't have the same kind of visual experience
yeah,
as you have on the platform, and also just the traveling, the island travel
yeah,
experience is of course not there. So it's a whole other kind of a way of looking at the performances.
yeah,
So yeah, it would not necessarily give me the same emotions
yeah,
just watching the performances on YouTube, for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
but the relief tickets, generally great idea, wonderful. They sell them also separately, which is interesting. So that is a great feature for people who really did not have a chance to attend the festival on the actual days, but were really interested and intrigued. I know many people sent me messages that reacted to all the things that we were doing and posting on social
yeah,
media, and it created so much more interest in our industry, for example. So I also told them about the relief
yeah.
tickets, and that was quite an interesting option for many
Even
people. So we should actually,
from a commercial perspective, this is a very clever thing to do because you can upsell your offering, and that's I think all events should do. Like you have the live option and you have the relief option, and there is nothing in between because that's how it should be. Because now it's everything is going digital, and all your profit margins are dependent on the digital event. It's fair enough to say that if you don't have the chance to watch it live, then you can purchase a ticket to watch it
yeah,
on demand. So yeah.
you're right. how do we feel about the costing of this type of event and the profitability? We had quite a lot of question marks around it. We were wondering if they at all managed to break even, how much the artists were paid, of course, but how much it cost to set up such an incredible graphic feature, and so many people working on the event.
Yeah.
We read in the articles afterwards that there were about 1 million people who actually had a paid ticket. So if you think about the tickets and the pricing of the tickets, which was 12 euro for a day and 20 euro for a weekend, that's not necessarily a huge amount of money to cover all of these costs. So a lot would have to come from sponsoring again, and they would need to find different ways of getting that money back. And we have to keep in the back of our minds as well that the actual live event was cancelled, so they had to deal with all of those cancellation problems, right, in the same time as creating this virtual version. So I guess also a bunch of money was lost there. For the people who had bought the tickets for the live event, they are able to keep them for the next edition, and they got a discount on entering the virtual one, the digital festival, of €2.50, I think it was, for each ticket bought. What do you think? Do you think they managed to make some profits, or perhaps not?
Yeah, that's a good question, because you have 200 people working on this for 3 months, and yeah, it's a lot of people working on it, probably having like a full salary. I mean, I can imagine that out of these 200 people, some were freelancers and some were interns. That could be the case. They had sponsorship money, and I guess this sponsorship money is not cheap when you look at brands like Bex or BMW, as you mentioned. It's very big sponsorship money. If they had about million tickets sold, it's already like a decent amount, I think, to break even, let's say. I don't know how profitable it was, but break even, that could be the case. But then you have the question, okay, did they pay the artists? Because all these artists, they were like tier A names, yeah? Like Katy Perry for 15 minutes, even how much would she charge for this? Like, it's a lot of money. So the question is, did they pay the artists? And then another thing there was that this one article that said this platform was developed in collaboration with the gaming company or the design company. And when you read the word collaboration, so it can be interpreted in very different ways. Is it do they get part of the profit? Do they have exposure? Do they have the data? So a lot of interpretations there. And
exactly. But we also only found out about that from the articles afterwards. I was looking on the platform, really searching to find who actually did the design, and it was not mentioned anywhere. So yeah, of course, there are all types of different agreements. So it would be really, really interesting to see an actual detailed case study, which of course is not going to happen because it's internal secrets. But definitely interesting, because if they had to pay all the artists a significant amount, then you're very close to not making any profit immediately.
But from the attendee point of view, paying €20, I think it's a really decent amount. Which I would be happy to pay again, because there are so many live online events, and you can't pay for every online event like €79, €120.
No.
You know,
but we would expect it to rise if they did a new edition, which probably will be the case. And having experienced this one, I would be very willing to pay more than €20, definitely.
How much would you be willing to pay, like at the max?
I'm not sure. Probably like something around that, like 69, 79, perhaps would be the maximum. Depends if it's a weekend ticket or a day ticket, of course. But definitely, it's even worth more than that. But it's just a matter of personal interest as well, right? Like how Yeah, it's not about the value of the event itself. It's very, very
Yeah.
valuable, but it has to be your personal interest
Yeah.
that matters. We are slowly running out of time, so let's just discuss one more thing, and that is how we see or think that this entire experience could be improved, and how do we feel about what you said, the festivalization of online events. Like,
Yeah.
we see it happening more and more. Like, we have more options now in the virtual events, where you can actually tailor make the experience to your own interest and choose your time, choose the things you want to see, all of that. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit more about that. What do you think are the key ingredients for improvement here?
Like improvement from our side is when we want to attend it again, right? Because we can't know what the festival is planning to improve from their side. But I mean, from my side, definitely there should be like some improvements, because I know that it was a bit ad hoc, like how we also planned the group. It was about like 1 week notice. So if you want to kind of like immerse yourself in this whole festival experience, or just any virtual event experience, I think there should be like a proper lead up to this event. So our group was created about 1 week in advance, but like 1 month could be a good time. So actually we can learn already what's the history of the Tomorrowland, what's like the facts and figures, what kind of discuss our motivations, because we did create some kind of templates to post on social media, to like what's my motivation, what inspired me, and all that. But it's kind of all the groundwork that we can do already as attendees, to explore the festival, to maybe to watch some of the DJs online, because I didn't come like prepared in a way that I knew who the DJs are. Like, I was there, yeah, okay, cool, let's have a look. But yeah, I could have done it. I could have checked like
You
the
can
previous.
still do that now also, Rina. Like, go look it up. You have 2 weeks to
Yeah,
go and check
yeah,
out.
exactly. Yeah, but now I kind of know them already, and maybe I would just actually go like on the specific ones. But like, you know, if there was like a chatter, like who are you, like if some other people were in our group talking about like what they want to watch, then it kind of, you know, it will kind of resonate with me already, from the pressure to go and check it out, because it's something that I might not do by myself. So this is one aspect. So let's say like 1 month kind of starting our discussion group. And then on the day, maybe kind of coordinate ourselves, maybe like on the festival props, you know, because we didn't like come dressed up for a festival, maybe like put some red lipstick or some stuff, but again, could have been a bit more organized, or there's some funny glasses, sunglasses, or some funny hats or whatever,
Yeah.
to kind of make it a little bit more a community spirit. Yeah, there could be some more improvement there.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mentioned it on Slack, like dress up and
Yeah.
style your house, but nobody really did so much of an effort. But also remember that the idea of the Mice Double Shot, of course, was to be more relaxed and to not have
Yeah.
that many obligations. Like, we've been doing so many educational sessions where you have to do this and this and this, and you have to post there and there, and you have to participate, you have to be on Twitter and Instagram, and you have to, you know, it's a whole schedule of things that you have to do.
Yeah.
So the idea was to have a little bit more of a relaxed setting, where there weren't so many obligations, and people could
Yeah.
just do as they please and come and go as they want, and participate as much as they wanted to. For me, I had fun setting up my home with a home festival and food on the floor and everything, but that's not necessarily everybody's thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
But it's something
definitely
that you
great.
need to think about, definitely, like if you want to be like more engaged. And another aspect is, again, if we have had planned it earlier, we could have like had more people like in our group joining us to watch this festival, because we were about 7, I think, but this number could have been double if we
Yeah.
took enough time to promote it. And then it was like, this also was a huge experience for me, not just the inspiration sessions, but just like being with the community, getting to know new people, because some of us I'm not in a daily contact. So
Yeah.
actually I got to know some of the members more like on a personal level that
True.
I haven't had the chance to do before. So yeah.
The same.
More
There's so much more we
promotion.
can do.
Yeah.
We can do a lot more, and we can keep talking about it. There are also
Yeah.
lots of ideas about more add-ons to add to the festival.
Yeah.
we have to wrap up this
Yeah.
chat for
Oh, two
now
minutes
because
left
we're gonna.
already. Okay.
Yeah, we will get kicked off. Thank you everybody for
Yeah.
joining both in the weekend and here on this live chat and for watching this. And if you haven't done already, if you haven't been part of Tomorrowland yet,
Yeah.
then you can still buy a relief ticket and go and check it all out. Thank
Yeah.
you for today
Thank
and
you,
see you
everyone.
soon. Thanks, Irina.
Thank you, Heidi. Bye bye.
Take
Bye.
care, everybody. Have a lovely day. Bye.